Welcome to Real Talk. This conversation is on the subject of Jamaica diaspora engagement. Some governments seem to have a clear understanding of how to engage with their diaspora and have created mechanisms that work. Some don't seem to know what to do and keep making the same mistakes repeatedly. The current Jamaican government falls under the second category. Part of the problem with the second group is a high level of control they wish to have over their diaspora. They speak of partnership, but instead seek control. Unfortunately, they interact only with members of the diaspora who tell them what they want to hear and not what they need to know. The results of the recent Global Jamaica Diaspora Council election is a strong indication that the diaspora is rejecting the Jamaican government's method of engagement. The government seems to interpret the results differently. There's no malaise in the diaspora, and those who are normally engaged outside of government's control are even more eager to engage in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic. Overwhelmingly, members of the diaspora want to do whatever they can assist Jamaica. Their main interests are not to aid the government of whichever political party is in control. The current government seems to have a problem with this reality and is not in sync with its diaspora. I emphasize, not in sync. I wrote an analysis of the outcome of the recent Global Jamaica Diaspora Council election and offered a few suggestions. My analysis was published in the Ward Post and also published in the Jamaica Observer. I was asked subsequently by the hosts of Public Eye on Bridge FM radio in Jamaica, Ronnie Thwaites and Pearnel Charles Sr., to join them in conversation on the issue. For those not familiar, Mr. Thwaites is a former Minister of Education in a former PNP government, and Mr. Charles is a former Speaker of the House of Representatives under the current JLP government. During this conversation, I proposed, among other things, the establishment of a Jamaica Diaspora Board, similar to the Jamaica Tourist Board. I will be developing this concept further in the future. The conversation with Ronnie Thwaites and Pearnel Charles follows now.
Welcome, Ambassador Curtis Ward.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Happy to have you with us. The Honorable Pearnel Charles is the co-host, and he's greeting you also. We on this program, and particularly through this station, are most anxious to do everything possible to improve, extend, solidify the bonding between Jamaicans in the diaspora and our home. I long for the day when every remittance that a Jamaican makes, Pearnel, to back here, the $3 billion US dollars.
And I heard the minister praise him.
Well, but it's going in the wrong direction. Actually, it's going down. But he did praise him, and rightly so. I want them to put at least 5% in savings rather than just consumption. Can you imagine what that would do to the accretion of domestic capital? Never mind. The Diaspora Council Ambassador Award is vital to that overall objective. How does it function? What has the recent election shown us? How should we improve that particular mechanism? And more broadly, your thoughts on the matter?
But first of all, I think the structure and operation of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council was not properly thought through. When it was first established 3 years ago, something like 7 of the 21 members were elected by the diaspora, and the other 14 members were appointed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. In addition to that, the minister chairs the Diaspora Council. The impression given to many in the diaspora that it was not representative of the diaspora. And in the 3 years it has been in existence, that sentiment has grown significantly. There hasn't been any consultation, I shouldn't say any, but any broad consultation with members of diaspora leadership. Many of us went ahead and supported the council and the candidates that were elected 3 years ago. What we found, however, is that many of the people who presented themselves as candidates were very unknown throughout the diaspora community. These people did not have a track record of working with community organizations or being engaged within the community so that their track record would have been known.
Yeah.
Many of them were elected based on their CVs, their bios that they presented over the internet and so on. But having done that 3 years ago, with the most recent election, it is very clear that the broad, the broad population within the diaspora have decided that this is a waste of time.
How do you come to that conclusion?
Well, the election process lasted for about 4 months. Between when the registration to be eligible to vote and when the voting actually takes place. While the conservative estimate is that there are 3 million Jamaicans living in the diaspora, other estimates put it as high as 5 million. Northeast United States, for example, has about 1 million Jamaicans living in the diaspora.
Yeah.
Maybe much more than that, maybe twice as much. And yet only 91 members of the diaspora voted in the last election.
No, sorry, sir. 9-1?
9-1.
9 less than 100 of that number voted?
91 members of the diaspora voted to elect the Northeast Diaspora representative.
You know,
if that is not a rejection of the council,
but
then I can't think of anything else.
I'm ashamed.
In the UK, with three different regions represented, the total votes were less than 200.
Probably, Mr. Ward, is the way we put the voters list. How do you put a voters list together? How do you invite Jamaicans to come where and vote where and how? Could it be administration that caused the problem?
That could be a problem, but like I said, the process started in October, inviting members of the diaspora to register online.
Yeah, but where would they register? Was it a government agent?
I don't know the numbers of those who registered. So I have to go by those who voted, those who actually voted. And
but even if it
I
is
hear all kinds of stories.
Even if it
I can guarantee you.
Go ahead.
I've been in this diaspora many years. As I just indicated to the Honorable Pearnel Charles Sr., I recorded him about 50 years ago. And I could not identify any of the individuals except one.
Who are
out
the
of
candidates?
3 candidates in the United States that were elected.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. But
one.
even if the problem is administrative, Pearnel.
I think it's administrative.
But even if
has to
it
be.
no, but even if it is, that should have been fixed long ago. Because you see, what I'm anxious for Ambassador Ward to help us with, maybe I have this exaggerated notion of the importance of the Diaspora Council. Because my view of Jamaica is that we are a country without borders. In as much as we can possibly craft that, and that the continuation, the increased insertion of Jamaican interest, engagement, investment, everything in our navel string connection with our diaspora is not an option. It is absolutely vital to the growth of our economy and the wholesomeness of our society.
And could we
You're
add?
absolutely correct. Sorry, go ahead.
Could we add that if I were overseas and I hear that I must join a council, I would first ask, for what? What's going to be my connection? What's going to be my contribution? Where I'm going to go? Who's going to be with me?
Yeah.
Who I'm going to go to?
Who organizes those things? The
You know,
Ministry
I mean,
of Foreign Affairs?
I'm not sure.
Foreign
That,
Affairs, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
but and again, if the Ministry of Foreign Affairs it's organizing the thing according to government association, and you understand, you agree, some is going to be attracted to it and some are not going to be attracted to it.
No, but then we have to do it in a different way.
You have to do it in a way that everybody...
Well, I think that's a nub of Ambassador Ward's point,
Yes.
that the way the thing has been conceived and structured is producing the kind of anemic results that he's reporting, the statistics. However it happened. But we can't continue this. Ambassador Ward, what ought to be done?
Well, the diaspora policy, which was drafted and presented on March 3rd, 2020, is now 3 years old. And when I reviewed that policy recently, I could not see where any of it is being implemented. I don't see the necessary legislation referred to in the policy that should be presented in Parliament and adopted. And you know, one thing Jamaica and Jamaicans are very good at, all of us Jamaicans, is writing. We know how to draft a document and make it sound great. Our problem is implementation. And we have an implementation deficit, certainly with the diaspora policy. And what most folks are saying is that the enthusiasm in the diaspora, which exists and is practiced every day for doing things with Jamaica, is not being harnessed. The organizations across the United States, in the various communities, are all, most of them, are engaged in some kind of initiative in Jamaica, some large, some small. I think at the beginning there was reference to the remittances.
Yeah.
For the past couple of years, remittances have grown to over $3 billion US.
Well, when I heard the minister said yesterday that Jamaica actually was survived
Yeah, that was true.
by remittance
Sure.
from Jamaicans abroad.
Sure.
I mean, I felt.
So I want to know that
What have we done for them or with them
What you entirely
to set the
absolutely. So this interview is crucial because really we need to be clear what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Allow me, Ambassador Ward. The first thing is that diaspora business is not party politics business. You hear, sir?
I agree, totally.
Yeah, because
Totally.
people.
And you know, this is one of the things that we try to state and restate time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
When you are abroad, certainly you have your sentiments toward either political party or none at all. But when we are dealing with Jamaica and what is best for Jamaica, we put Jamaica first.
Absolutely, sir.
That is what we do. I always say our party politics ended, which it really doesn't, but it should end when we board that plane
When the plane take
to
off.
travel abroad and live abroad. And we practice as Jamaican. When Jamaican community organizations are established across the U.S., you have members of both political parties participating in these organizations.
Yeah.
And the programs that they do for Jamaica, when they come down there on a medical mission, you think they ask with JLP or PNP?
Of course not.
No, they don't. They serve everybody who turn up. And when they help children in school with books, with school fees, with transportation, you name it, with computers and tablets, they don't ask if it's a JLP school or a PNP school.
No.
Ambassador, let me disturb you. All three of us know that there's something extremely strong in Jamaica called political culture. It doesn't matter what you want to say or what I want to say. I'm going to look who's government over there, whether I want to associate with them, whether I want to get them. And this is going to look over to say, who are we bringing in? Are they going to be with us? Or that is a political culture that is not going away with. It should go away.
So
it's not going that way.
So how
we must find a way, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
There must be a way how you can put a body that attracts Canada, United Kingdom, United States, Jamaicans, all there, and they can feel comfortable with associating.
If I were, indeed, but how would you do that? Because what Ambassador Ward reports is what you and I know, that the associations and the people generally in the diaspora, they come together and they don't have any too much ism and schism. Now, if to choose them, we need to mobilize people and register them and encourage them to vote, then we have other institutions than the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which I imagine has all kinds of other preoccupations. We can do it a different way, can't we?
Well, Ronnie, when they come to Jamaica to have a diaspora, conference. And I don't know, PNP and JLP.
So
it's a whole group of people who are living from overseas and they're greeting and loving.
Well,
how do you get that together in an organized documentary way?
Let me say this. First of all, I think the council needs to be revisited. Certainly, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should provide administrative support to the council.
Yes.
But the Minister of Foreign Affairs should not be running the council.
Clearly.
And
have a majority of nominations.
Chairing the council.
Awesome.
Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, the diaspora policy has some very good elements in there. But I don't believe most people are familiar with it. It's a 48-page document with lots of addendum and so on. Every ministry, every minister should read the policy because it involves many ministries, but it is not being understood, it is not being read, and I guarantee you, over 95% of members of the diaspora have never seen the policy.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to embarrass myself.
Well,
don't ask me if I've ever.
I saw it. I had to see it when because the educational system, when I had some responsibility. Still, always we are heavily dependent upon diaspora support. Yes, the schools would barely function if the diaspora didn't support them the way they do. So should there be some kind of separate body, Ambassador Ward, that is given particular responsibility, a parliamentary commission maybe for diaspora affairs, and then they can work with the electoral commission or whoever else, the embassies, consulates, to divvy up support, registration, election?
You know, some countries have a Ministry of Diaspora Affairs. Some countries do. Jamaica has a Minister of State excuse me, within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yes. Who is a good person, but he can't manage what is there. The Minister of State and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honourable Leslie Campbell.
Yeah.
I vouch for him.
Yes.
But I think he has straw basket to carry water.
Why you say that?
No,
Why you say that?
because the ministry, as I understand it, does not have the capacity and ought not to have the responsibility of being in charge of diaspora affairs in the way that it does. It has to divest that responsibility to members of the diaspora themselves.
Yeah, but we don't have, we're not in charge of diaspora overseas, but there must be a Jamaican body that is where the government comes in.
So when we come back from the short break, Ambassador Ward, tell us if you can, give us just a snapshot of a structure. This program has largely a diaspora audience, and we really want to have some kind of idea that we can keep pushing and put forward for better relations with the diaspora. Soon come, this is the Public Eye on the Bridge. Talking with Ambassador Curtis Ward, experienced Jamaican diplomat, about how we might better organize our relations with the Jamaican diaspora everywhere and anywhere. Ambassador Ward, a few pithy suggestions, please, sir.
Let me put this on the table. As indicated earlier, the diaspora remit over $3 billion US. Now, many folks say, well, that is usually consumed by the recipients. Okay. But none of the recipients receive foreign currency when they go to pick up the remittance sent to them.
Yes.
They receive Jamaican dollars.
Uh-huh.
And the US dollars, the British pound, the Canadian dollars, etc.
Similar.
Go to the Bank of Jamaica to build its national reserve. Now, what is that money used for? I don't have to spell that out.
No.
Because we all know that. At the same time, the consumers receiving the remittances are spending that money as soon as they get it. So it enters the Jamaican economy. And it supports manufacturing, it supports the agricultural sector, it supports the retail sector, it pays school fees, it buys books, everything, you name it. It puts food on the table and so on. But all that money goes right into the economy. There was a study some years ago, in 2017, I believe it was, by Capri, that diaspora contributes at least 15% to Jamaica's GDP. And when you look at the economic impact, it could be as much as 35%.
I believe.
I'm saying all this to suggest this. Tourism is considered the largest earner of foreign exchange for Jamaica. The fact of the matter is, a large percentage of tourist
money don't stay in Jamaica, sir.
Do not stay in Jamaica.
No, the diaspora money stay in Jamaica.
Exactly. And yet, the government has a Jamaica Tourist Board.
Yeah, wholly put infrastructure for tourism, but none for the diaspora. Got your point entirely.
This is where I'm coming
and
from.
This is important information.
Because I believe that in order to really show the importance of the diaspora and to make it work even more effectively for Jamaica, more engagement, is to establish a diaspora board, a Jamaica Diaspora Board, something like the Jamaica Tourist Board.
Yes, okay.
And I don't want to hear about cost, because $3 billion of foreign exchange staying in Jamaica is more than what tourism income stays in Jamaica.
Not 50% of tourism stays in money stays in Jamaica.
The other thing is, on that board should be members representative of the diaspora, as well as local members. And again, I don't want to hear people telling me that Jamaicans abroad cannot participate in boards in Jamaica because COVID has shown us
No, that's nonsense. The technology
that
has
we don't have to
overtaken
all
that
get
argument.
together in a conference room
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, look at this
Okay,
program.
so that argument is no hogwash. So members abroad don't have to travel to Jamaica. In the diaspora policy, they talk about participation in governance. I've seen no legislation to suggest any participation in governance, and governance includes serving on statutory boards.
Yeah,
So I want to see not only a board
For the
akin to the
diaspora.
first board established,
yeah.
and including Jamaicans in the diaspora, representing the various areas of the diaspora. And that will be far more effective than this Global Jamaica Diaspora Council.
Got you. Ambassador Curtis Ward, retired ambassador of Jamaica to the United Nations and commentator on public affairs, particularly to do with the diaspora. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge with Pearnel Charles and myself. We soon come back.